Good evening. Welcome to Midweek Connection. I am grateful and honored to be with you this evening. I am in one of my favorite places here in Florida, the back porch. And it's been a beautiful day. Thankful for the sunshine. Thankful for this time and even this season of transition that First Unity Spiritual Campus is in. We are in the process of transitioning to the place where we will plant and put down our roots. We're making that declaration that it's time now. It's time now for us to find the location that we are supposed to blossom in. And I'm grateful that that's coming sooner than later. We're believing for that for sure. I want to welcome you in. We're still in this series, Keys to the Kingdom, Queendom, and I want to again this week add a little bit of voice to supporting the message that was shared this last week when we talked about we said we would try to on Wednesday nights support this whole series and do our best to get as much of a well-rounded view of prosperity and abundance and health and wealth and well-being as we could, because it's, I think one of the things that happens a lot of times when we start talking about prosperity and abundance is we automatically think in terms of material things. We think in terms of money. And that's not where I want our focus to go. Because where our focus goes, our energy flows. Our focus, I believe, should be toward a full scope wholeness. A full scope wholeness where there's a sense of wholeness and well-being, and that includes your finances. But it's really more about us living in a state of fulfillment and completely unfolding in our true, authentic, and essential and divine self. And so it's more rounded. It is not just about material things. Material things are the least important. You can exercise your supernatural and spiritual power to manifest material things. But make sure that you're never, ever following material things as your master. And one of the things that we can do to keep ourselves from being a slave within our minds and in our mindsets is to master the mind. And I'm always going to be working to bring us back into that space, to recognize our divinity, to recognize the beauty of our connection to the divine, and that we are divine beings having a human expression and experience, and it's temporary in this particular bodily form. But I want us to be able to go beyond the form and beyond the formula and be able to work with the formless consciousness. And that formless consciousness, when we awaken to that, we start operating out of that divine nature instead of operating out of our limited flesh nature. Grab his drink of water here, and then we'll get going this evening. There's two things I would like to discuss and check out this evening. And I don't know how long this is going to go on. I tell you that. Most of the time when I tell you that, it ends up going longer. But there's two things that come to mind today as I was thinking about the mind, and I'm thinking about us transcending and transforming, upgrading our human expression and experience, expanding on abundance and prosperity. And one of the things that keeps coming back up for me in terms of manifesting the life that I want is that my calling, the number one thing this evening, my calling is to focus on the what and let go of the how. Focus on the what and let go of the how. Focus on what it is that I want to see produced in my life, what I want to see manifested in my life. But the how is left up to the universe. The how is left up to the source of all things. So when you let go of the how, when you do this, you'll start to notice opportunities appearing in ways that you could have never engineered if you just sat down and literally worked with paper and pen. You wouldn't have been able to engineer it. The perfect connection, the perfect conversations, even in casual conversations, chance meetings. All of a sudden, the solution arrives through, not through my sheer will or through tremendous effort. As I've said to you before, we don't have to work hard to be our authentic selves. We don't have to work hard to live a good life. So the solutions will start to arise, not through some kind of a level of tremendous effort, but in a moment of quiet insight. So the more flexible you are with the process, with the how, the more effortlessly life can start to deliver the essence of what you truly need. This doesn't mean that you're abandoning action altogether. It means you're acting with openness. I think I've said to you before, I'm trying to remember the exact terminology it was it was Wayne Dyer used to say, I am open to everything and yet attached to no thing. So it's not about abandoning action. It's not about becoming lazy, but it's acting with openness. It's like a gardener who plants the seeds, but doesn't dig them up every single morning to check on their progress, to see how they're growing. You do your part, and then you trust the intelligence of life to handle the rest. So the magic happens not in forcing outcomes, but in allowing them to arrive in their own time and in their own beautiful way. When you stop insisting on the specifics, the how, you discover that what comes naturally is often more rich than you could have ever made it by trying so hard to control it. It's far more rich than what you tried to so hard to make happen. And so my focus then again is that I am going to focus on the what it is that I want to see produce in my life, but I'm letting go of the how. And then I got to thinking about the difference between monologue and dialogue. So I would say monologue, not dialogue. And kind of what I mean by that is there's a real quiet magic in creating without an audience, in working without the need for validation. When you remove the hunger for that external approval, something in you shifts. Your actions become more pure. You become less burdened by a sense of performance. Just think of it this way, because I have 5 children as far as I know. Think of a child who is so absorbed in play. They're completely lost in the moment. And they're so lost in the moment that they're unaware of who might be watching them. They don't even care. That's where their true artistry, that's where their true creativity lives. And the moment that you start creating for applause, or you start looking for that affirmation, you start to dilute the essence of what you're doing. The purity of the art begins to leave when you have to have an audience. This is why statements like "dance like no one is watching" exist. Because the dance is more pure when you are dancing for dancing's sake rather than to impress people. We're here to express our uniqueness, not to impress. Expression is uniqueness. Impression is weakness. Somebody said that after me. Expression is uniqueness. Impression is weakness. And here's what's odd. When you express yourself fully and naturally, it makes an impression. But you didn't have to do that. You didn't have to make the impression through sheer will and through power and through pressuring and controlling something. It happened as a result of you simply expressing. When you're creating your art from that inner space, in that quiet magic, the painting is not about the reaction it will get, but the joy of putting that brush on the canvas. The music becomes not about how it will be received by people, but about the raw feeling behind each and every note that you make. I know this as a singer, that when I let go of the need to perform and I just fall back into the music, something happens about the raw feeling of the notes. There's a sense of real magic. This isn't about rejecting recognition. I'm not saying that you don't appreciate applause. It's about not needing it. It is freedom from it. And this is what is happening in our visioning, when we're visioning our life, when we're painting the masterpiece of our life, or we're putting together the beautiful dance of our life, or the song of our life. That if we're doing it just for the sake of having an audience to affirm and confirm through applause, then I believe we're missing the point. It's about not letting the applause and the affirmation dictate your creative pulse. When you release the need to be seen, you actually paradoxically, the word just stuck in my mouth, paradoxically, you become more visible. And you become more visible in the most authentic way. Your work carries a different energy when it's filtered through the lens of others' expectations. It carries a higher energy when it's just coming from the pure space of your heart. It's the difference between a speech that's delivered to impress and words that are spoken directly from the heart. One may gain temporary admiration, but the other lingers in the air long after, and it's touching something deeper in those who hear it. And it's not just a tickle of the ear, it lodges in the heart because it came from the heart. It recognizes the impulse of the heart. The same applies to love, to leadership, and in fact, really to any meaningful endeavor. Love that demands proof, love that demands a constant reassurance isn't love. It's negotiation. Leadership that requires constant validation is not guidance. It's insecurity. And it's insecurity that is disguised. But when you act from the quiet place within, where external measures don't reach your influence, expands. When you go into that place and you move from that place where external measures don't reach, your influence expands without effort. And then people are drawn to the unshakable core of someone who does not need their approval because they sense something rare. A person wholly present in what they do, not halfway out the door looking for the next compliment, is someone who gets even more attention because it's really pure. It's from the heart. We often approach life like architects, demanding blueprints from the universe, mapping every single step out, calculating every variable, insisting that we know exactly how our dreams should materialize. But this rigid attachment to the methodology creates invisible barriers. The truth is, life's most profound gifts rarely arrive through the doors we're busy knocking on. And the knocking through our dialogue versus the monologue, because the play of your life is meant for you to speak out. And us trying to force and push the how instead of focusing on the what creates this need to knock on doors and to try to knock the doors down. These things start to slip in through, they slip in through windows we didn't even realize were open. Consider how some of history's greatest discoveries emerged not from meticulous planning, but from happy accidents. Penicillin from mold, Post-it notes from failed adhesive experiments. When we fixate on controlling the how, we become like a traveler so focused on the GPS that we miss the breathtaking beauty of what's right beside us, the nature that's right there. This isn't to dismiss preparation. I'm not saying that you shouldn't put some kind of an effort, but it's to recognize that our limited perspective can't possibly anticipate all of the ways, all of the opportunities that might manifest. The job you desperately want might come through an acquaintance you barely even know, rather than the polished application that you spent weeks perfecting and putting together. The love you've been seeking might appear when you stop attending forced social events that you didn't want to go to start with, and you simply follow your curiosity to that bookstore cafe or to that little restaurant or that little place you wanted to go to visit. By loosening our grip on predetermined paths, we make space for something more interesting. And the universe is a improvisational genius. I said the universe is an improvisational genius. And there's profound freedom in focusing solely on the what while remaining open to the infinite hows. Hold your vision clearly, but hold your methods lightly. When you stop insisting life must follow your script, you begin noticing the subtle clues and the synchronicities that were always there the whole time. And you begin to get that chance meeting, as I mentioned earlier, the unexpected phone calls, these ideas that start to arrive while you're in the shower. These aren't coincidences. They're the universe working through the channels and past the channels of your logical mind, and in places that your logical mind couldn't have even predicted. See, the art lies in diligent preparation paired with radical openness, as we mentioned a few weeks ago. Showing up fully while trusting that what's meant for you will find its way through means that are more creative than you could have ever engineered by sitting down with pen and paper and mapping it all out, or laboring over it, or freaking out about it. There comes a moment when the chase itself starts to become the obstacle. When the very energy that we pour into seeking happiness, success, or love creates resistance that keeps us just beyond touching that love and touching that creativity. It's like running toward the horizon that perpetually retreats from you. It's always running away from you. The faster we move, the more it eludes us. Yet when we pause, when we release the tension in our grasp, something magical, something remarkable happens. What we were straining toward often appears effortlessly, as if it had been waiting for us to stop chasing the whole time, so it could really just finally catch up. This reminds me of goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I'll dwell in the house of the Lord, universal law, forever. This paradox really reveals a fundamental truth. What we most desire flourishes in the soil of surrender, not in the tight fist of pursuit. Consider how sleep comes. Sleep doesn't come to those who demand it, but to those who let go into its embrace. You can't work hard to go to sleep, because you can't even get to a state of rest. The musician, I am one so I could talk about this, the musician who stops laboring over every note suddenly finds the melody flowing through them. The writer who abandons forced inspiration and discovers words arriving in a sudden rush during a morning walk, or just a swim, or just sitting around and being with the flow. These aren't flukes, but these are demonstrations of a deeper rhythm, one that operates on trust rather than control. And so when we stop anxiously scanning for solutions and trying to create pathways and knocking doors down, the answers we need start to emerge from unexpected places. The deep calls unto the deep. It'll happen in a stranger's sort of casual remark, a line in a book that we randomly opened, a dream that kind of sticks with us. This principle extends beyond creativity into the ever beautiful and expanding aspect of life. Life is spontaneity, and life is always providing. Then our relationships deepen. They deepen when we stop performing. Tying this all back in. Relationships deepen when we stop performing and we simply show up as we are. Career breakthroughs happen when we focus on meaningful work rather than calculated networks. I was taught really in business, like, networks are what matter the most. But what if meaningful work is what matters? And what if the meaningful work, it matters far more than all of these calculated networks that we've created? Even healing accelerates when we realize that our white-knuckled grip on recovery is not what brings healing. When we release the white-knuckled grip on recovery and the timeline of healing, healing just naturally occurs. The divine mind, this invisible intelligence that orchestrates life, responds not to our frantic efforts, but to our quiet, open, surrendered readiness. The moment we stop leaning forward and instead settle into what is, the magic lies not in doing more, but in allowing more, creating space for life to meet us right where we are. And it meets us with gifts that our striving, our working hard could have never secured. The most powerful shifts occur when we stop waiting for external validation, and we stop trying to control the how, and we begin embodying the reality we wish to inhabit. Not as just hopeful spectators, but as living participants in this divine unfolding. There is a tremendously powerful alchemy in carrying yourself as if what you seek is already yours. Not with arrogance, but with that quiet assurance of someone who recognizes that the boundary between will be and is thinner than we've been taught to believe. I mentioned that a couple of weeks ago. This isn't about manifesting through my power, through sheer will, but about aligning my energy with the frequency of what I desire so completely that the universe has no choice but to mirror it back to me. When you walk through the world as the person who already possesses that quality, whether it's confidence, creativity, or inner peace, you emit a subtle and beautiful vibration that rearranges circumstances around you. Opportunities begin to appear. Not because you're desperately hunting for them or you're knocking down doors to get to them, but because you have become a match, a vibrational match for them. And it's the difference between shouting into the void and simply humming a tune, so compelling that others can't help but harmonize and sing along. The artist who paints as if their work already matters creates differently than the one begging for the recognition. The leader who acts from that unshakable conviction inspires loyalty in ways that calculated strategies could never create. This experiment, it works because it bypasses the limiting beliefs that usually sabotage us. When you stop reinforcing the story of lack, I don't have this yet, or do you neutralize the resistance that keeps it at arm's length? Are you willing to neutralize that resistance that keeps it at arm's length? Instead of vibrating in the energy of wanting, you emit the energy of having. And then the physical world eventually has no choice but to conform. I believe that the key lies in that really delicate balance between intention and surrender. Holding the vision while releasing your grip on when or how it will materialize. Live from the place where your desire is already fulfilled and watch as reality bends to meet you right there. The greatest illusion we carry is the belief that we are separate from the opportunities, the love, and the abundance that we seek, as if these things exist somewhere out there waiting to be found or to be earned through our struggle. But the truth is more liberating, my friends. You are not a beggar at the universe's door. You are the doorway itself. Every limitation you perceive, every closed path that you've encountered is ultimately a reflection of where you've placed walls within your own consciousness. When you shift this inner landscape, the outer world has no choice but to rearrange itself according to your belief. This is why Jesus said, according to your belief, you're made whole. This isn't just metaphysical speculation. This is how it works. This is actually, it's observable in how energy flows. A person radiating frustration attracts more reasons to be frustrated, while someone who is vibrating gratitude seems to all of a sudden stumble on endless blessings. The common thread isn't luck, but it's resonance. It's vibration. You don't find opportunities. You become the kind of person for whom those opportunities naturally arise. The musician doesn't chase inspiration. The musician is inspiration. They cultivate the inner space where melodies are born. The entrepreneur is not forcing success. They become someone for whom innovative solutions appear effortlessly. They are success. They're not searching for it, trying to create it. You are it. The moment this realization clicks, everything changes. You stop trying to manipulate external circumstances, and instead you focus on aligning your inner state with it. Doors open, not because you've learned some secret technique to knocking it or unlocking it or blowing them down, but because you've dissolved the invisible barriers within your own self that made them appear closed in the first place. The universe has been waiting for you to recognize this powerful truth. What you seek is not outside of you, but it is a dimension of yourself waiting to be awakened to and waiting to be acknowledged. I'm trying to shut up, y'all. I'm trying to quit here, but when you fully embody and inhabit this knowing, the separation between seeker and sought collapses. And life becomes not a series of obstacles to overcome, not hard work to do, but a dance of ever unfolding possibilities to which you already belong. So, here we arrive at life's great paradox. The more you release, the more you receive. The harder you chase, the faster what you desire seems to flee. But the moment you stop straining, the moment you stop straining, the universe leans in to meet you. This is not just passive surrender. It's intelligent cooperation. Somebody say, this is not just passive surrender. It's intelligent cooperation. And it's intelligent cooperation with the natural flow of existence. Isn't it something? You've carried the key all along, not in your striving, but in your stillness, not in your pushing, but in your surrender, not in your demands, but in your openness. The doors you've been knocking on were never locked. You simply forgot that they open inward. Can I get an amen on that? The doors that you were trying to open were never locked. You simply forgot that they open inward. So step back, breathe, let go of the how. Let go of the when. Let go of the frantic need to control. Trust that life isn't happening to you. It's happening for you. It's happening through you. It's happening as you. And when you finally stop standing in your own way, that's when the magic begins. So go forth. But don't try to go forth. Just walk. Just go forth. And watch how the path rises up to greet you. I had to throw that in there. It's a little bit of Scots Irish there. The road rises up to meet you. What is all this ranting really about? Well, I ask, do you really believe that you were meant to live a great life? Even though there may be some evidence of what you've experienced that doesn't feel so great? If you believe that you were meant to live a great life, it's not going to happen through impressing other people or even impressing God. It will happen through you surrendering to the natural flow of what is already waiting for you. And it will happen when we focus on the what, we let go of the how, and we focus more on the monologue than the dialogue. Because I've said to you before, there's some people you don't need to tell them your vision for your life. So the last thing you need to do is to talk to them about your vision. Because your vision for your life, some people are just not going to be able to believe in. So it is best for you to not look for the validation or the credit from others, or not even look for the credit from your most spiritual friends. Again, as a musician, if it's about the music, then the melody flows. If it's about the dance for the dancer, then the dance flows. If it's about the painting itself, then all of the brush strokes go in the exactly perfect place. So I release and I let go. And I let what is meant to come to me naturally. And I believe it will. I believe it's looking for you, and it's looking for me. Now, what does this have to do with this last Sunday? Well, this last Sunday's title was Letting Go of the Past. And if you're tired of struggling to live your best life, and you're measuring everything by the past and what your past experiences have been, release the past patterns of needing to push and to pull and to strive to get things manifested, and let go of the guilt and the unworthiness that tells you that you should not have all of these wonderful things. Release yourself from that, because you should. And as you surrender, that will begin to flow to you, through you, for you, and as you, and it will increase in value in your life. So consider today focusing on the what it is that you're wanting to manifest, letting go of the how, and sticking with the monologue, not the dialogue. Don't invite other people into the play. Make your declaration over your life. Look for those opportunities. They're trying to appear to you all the time. When you do this, you're going to notice opportunities appearing in ways that you never could have engineered them yourself. The perfect connection begins to emerge from casual conversations or a chance meeting with somebody or a phone call rings. The solution arrives not through tremendous effort of pushing and pulling, but in that moment of quiet insight. The more flexible you are with the process, the more effortlessly life can deliver the essence of what you truly need. And it's really wanting to. All right, y'all, I've held you long enough this evening. I want to say thank you for being here. Thank you for just listening to me rant a little bit this evening. I hope that something that I shared with you is a blessing. I love you all so very much. It's a very busy season. And I appreciate that these ideas continue to come to me, because they are helping me to be flexible through this process. I'm growing through what I'm going through. Are you? You can, and I'm believing that you will. All right, my friends, the music's getting started right now. I appreciate you. So go and make it a great evening, because